A very good morning to all of you. I'm sure you had enough time to get your coffee and you're all nice and bright awake. I would like to welcome you all here, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and entrepreneurs, people who are here in person, and also the people who have joined us online from wherever in the world you may be. So it's my great honor to welcome you on this lovely summer day in Espoo, which over the last few years has become one of the great capitals of quantum in Europe, which is apt because the theme of the event is quantum partnerships today. And briefly, I will introduce myself. My name is Vishal. I'm the CEO of Quantrolox. So we are a spin-out of the University of Oxford and now headquartered here in Espoo. And we build software to automate the everyday operations of quantum computers. But that's enough about me. It's more about the rest of the people here today. The event here has been organized by the Embassy of India in collaboration with the city of Espoo and Enter Espoo. The event will be recorded so that you can watch the presentations and the panel discussions again later if you wish. And thanks again for joining here in this very nice location of Technopolis here in Espoo. If you have any questions regarding the presentations or questions from the panelists, please use the chatbot function, which can be found on the event page. Our team here will pick up the comments and questions from the chat and read them out loud to the panel. There should be a few microphones that are going around. So if you do have a question, raise your hand and, well, there's the microphone. If you raise your hand, by magic, the microphone will walk to you. Before I go any further, it would be good to recap how have we ended up here. The Indian government, in its budget session in 2020, announced a national mission for quantum computing and applications with a total budget of 1.8 billion. Several startups are also emerging in quantum technologies in India, which are developing hardware, software, solutions, cryptography, like QNU Labs, whose products are now being used by the Indian Armed Forces. Companies like Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, and Tata Consultancy Services are also investing in quantum research and developing applications for quantum computing. Though quantum computing ecosystem in India is in its early stages, it is picking up speed, and more startups are starting to join in those programs. And of course, in Finland, the history of quantum computing goes back to 1965. Finland has been actively involved in quantum research and product development. The Finnish government very early on started to invest in quantum technologies, and various programs were launched, including the Quantum Technology Finland program, which aims to develop quantum technologies to create a vibrant ecosystem in the country. Several Finnish universities and research centers, such as Aalto University, University of Oulu, University of Jyväskylä, VTT Technical Center, have been actively involved in quantum research with a focus on quantum computing, quantum communications, and quantum sensing. It's probably not a very well-known fact for people outside Finland that Finland also holds the world record of the lowest temperature ever created on the planet. And I think that was in the 70s or something, and it's still not been broken. So yeah, I'm sorry. So that's a key thing. Also, we have a very vibrant ecosystem in Finland of various companies, like Blue Force, like IQM, like of course Quantrolox, Vexillum, Semicon, which is a spin out of VTT, and we'll have a few more hopefully coming on in the next few years. In terms of the collaboration between India and Finland, during the virtual summit between the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin, held on 16th March 2021, it was agreed to set up a digital partnership focusing on quantum technologies and computing. This was reiterated during their in-person meeting on 4th of May 2022. So it's perfect. Now it's about 12 months from that, we get a chance to meet again and strengthen the bonds. Before we begin, I would like to request that all speakers please stick to the time. If you overstep, you'll see me walk very close to you as a sign that the time is over, but I have no doubt people will stick to the times. And to kickstart the program for the day, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you His Excellency Mayor of Espoo, Jukka Mäkelä. Jukka has been the mayor of Espoo since 2011, and prior to that also served as the member of the Finnish Parliament. Jukka has an executive MBA from Aalto University and the Master of Science in Technology from the University of Technology, which is now, I believe, Aalto University. So I would kindly request His Excellency Mayor of Espoo, Jukka Mäkelä, to deliver his welcome remarks and share his insights on the importance of fostering collaboration between India and Finland in the quantum sector. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador Kumar, dear guests and dear friends from India, Mr. Chairman of the Espoo City Council, Jarno Limnell, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Otaniemi and India Means Business event, and welcome to the city of Espoo, the innovation driver of Finland. In global rankings, Finland is evaluated as the most innovative, safest and happiest country in the world. In national rankings, Espoo is evaluated as the most innovative, safest and happiest in Finland. Maybe not the modest. We like to call our city a deep tech and innovation city in a beautiful and clean nature. And I think this beautiful morning in Otaniemi shows you all that the part beautiful and clean nature is true. I really like these mornings in Otaniemi. I have been studying here, as you were told, and I have a lot of good memories from those studying times in University of Technology. We had a lot of good parties in those days. Espoo is truly deep tech and innovation city because actors like Aalto University, research centers like VTT are located in the city of Espoo, and companies like Nokia have their headquarters located in the city of Espoo. Scientific forerunners seek solutions from the new materials and technologies, as well as combinations of the two, while enjoying beautiful nature and stunning seaside environment. We have more islands than Hawaii, and nature is one of the things our residents value most. I think it's the same thing in whole Finland. Espoo is home for 155 nationalities and the first city in Finland to introduce English as a language of service. We provide access to one of the best education systems in the world and tailored services for international talents arriving in Finland. We are very happy to be the home to the biggest Indian community in Finland. I hope this event will make the Indian community grow even bigger and strengthen the good collaboration and ties between the city and the Indian business community. Besides the highly skilled people already in the Espoo Indian community, there are more true talents joining the community, like the brilliant minds now studying in Aalto University. The business relations between Finland and India are deepening, and Espoo is one of the favorite destinations from Indian investments and companies, given our strong know-how in research and development, deep tech and ICT. As well as we will learn today, high-tech and deep tech knowledge, this we have in common, Espoo and India. I hope today we can build further bridges between our economies and businesses, also in quantum sector. India is one of the key players in the global fight against the climate change. India has made good efforts in building resilient and sustainable infrastructure to speed up the green transition and has set a target of a year of 2070 for carbon neutrality. The goal is that emissions will not increase after 2030. Since Espoo is ranked as one of the most sustainable cities in Europe and is on a path to achieve climate neutrality by 2030, I believe this is an excellent opportunity for future collaboration. Some of the most sustainable and innovative companies are based in Espoo and collaborate with the city to develop carbon-free solutions. Espoo is a key driver of sustainable growth in Finland. Almost half of Helsinki Stock Exchange turnover comes from companies based in Espoo. Sixth most patent applications in European cities are made in the innovation community formed around Aalto University, VTT and Nokia. The European Commission has acknowledged Espoo as one of the most innovative cities in Europe. The city of Espoo is also the most sustainable city in Europe. When we are using economical, ecological, social and cultural criteria, Espoo is ranked to be the most sustainable city in Europe. Espoo is the place to be if you want to boost business, invent solutions to the most pressing challenges of the planet and build professional networks. Here in Espoo, we believe that solutions are found when we work together towards a common goal. The city succeeds in anything we do together with our residents, companies, communities and partners, home and abroad. I hope today will inspire you and help you build connections to our community. It is a community that creates the kind of innovation the world needs. And we are ready to share the innovations with the world and with you. Welcome and enjoy your day.
Thank you very much for your excellent remarks. Having lived in Oulu, about 200 meters away from the technical student sauna, I can definitely say that the parties were fantastic. So I would like to now, kind of move on and again I would like to introduce you to the Ambassador of India to Finland, His Excellency Raveesh Kumar. Ambassador Kumar has over 2 decades of diplomatic experience, having joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1995, and has also served in various postings, including Jakarta, Thimphu, New Delhi, London, Jakarta again as the Deputy Chief of Mission, Frankfurt as the Consul General, and New Delhi as the spokesperson for the Joint Secretary for the External Publicity Division. It's an honor to have him here to share his insights and thoughts on the topic at hand. So please join in welcoming Ambassador Raveesh Kumar to deliver his remarks from the Indian side.
Thank you, Vishal. A very good morning to all of you. Mr. Jukka Mäkelä, thank you very much for joining us today. I know you are very busy, and also for leading this cooperation between Espoo and India. I think, and I do remember the meeting which we had in Espoo, which you kindly hosted at your residence. And I think in many ways that triggered the cooperation between two sides, which we are witnessing now. Mr. Jarno Limnell, the chair of the Espoo Council and Member of Parliament, Colonel Ashit Kumar Nath, flown in all the way from India, from CDAC, for this event. Friends from Enter Espoo, panelists, businesses, and friends. Thank you all for joining us today for this event. At the beginning, let me thank the city of Espoo for partnering with us for this event. As I mentioned that there was a recognition when we met, when we interacted, that there is a synergy which needs to be exploited. There are opportunities which needs to be worked on, between India and Espoo. And then both the teams, my team from the embassy and your team from Enter Espoo, they got down very quickly on the drawing board. And I think within a span of 3 months, they managed to put this event together. So congratulations to my team and also to Enter Espoo for doing this hard work in a very short time. Now, technology is not my forte, and I think there are a lot of people who will be speaking on the specific aspects of what we intend to do. But what I'll do is that I will try to contextualize our cooperation in quantum technology and on the topic which is there, fostering cooperation in quantum technology within the framework of our bilateral relation. And perhaps the technical people who are here, including Colonel Nath, I think I'll leave it to them to suggest to us the way forward, how can we take this cooperation forward. Vishal did mention about how it all started. When the two leaders had a virtual meeting in March 2021, that is perhaps the first time it got attention at the top level. And they agreed to set up a digital partnership involving cooperation in ICT, focusing on quantum technologies and computing. And then again, when they met in May on the sidelines of the second India Nordic Summit in Copenhagen, this was reiterated that we need to work on this partnership. Of course, there was some groundwork which was already done, and this happened during Joint Committee on Science and Technology, which meets at the level of Undersecretary on your side and Secretary at our side. And during that time, a working level group on quantum was set up. Now, steps to implement this, the leaders' agreement, or what was agreed at the leaders' level, I think it was, the first step was, when Minister Lintilä visited India last year in April. And that time we signed a joint declaration. And this was a very important step because in that joint statement, we decided to, and I'll quote, facilitate and promote joint initiatives between the public and private sectors of both countries to enable knowledge sharing, joint research and development, and talent exchange in the area of quantum technology. And both sides also agreed to set up a virtual center of excellence in quantum computing. Now, this was agreed during Minister Lintilä's visit last year. Now, let's take a look at what happened since then. On the Center of Excellence, we have identified 4 premier institutes: IISER Pune, IIT Chennai, Madras, and 3 institutes actually, and TFR Mumbai to work with Finnish institutions on joint development of quantum computer. Now, a draft is lying with the Finnish side. We are waiting for some response from them to take it forward. Between the B2B, Tech Mahindra and IQM Quantum Computers, they have signed an MOU for research in quantum computing, and they have agreed to explore synergies in mutually beneficial areas of quantum computing, cryptography, communication technologies, etc. CDAC is exploring some sort of cooperation with Finland, and I'm sure Karnanath will share his views on this subject. But if I can be honest with you, the progress since the joint declaration has been quite modest at best. We haven't really taken off in a way which would justify the potential which exists. And this despite knowing that there are opportunities to facilitate knowledge exchange, joint research projects, and the development of quantum infrastructure. We are also aware that any cooperation in quantum will provide a platform for scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs from both countries to collaborate and co-create innovative solutions. But most importantly, I think what will happen is that it will create a sense of trust, between two countries to work on something which is now critical. And, and when you start competing in deep tech technologies, whether it is quantum computing or artificial intelligence, 6G, it reflects a sense of trust and confidence in the partnership. And I think perhaps in the last few decades in a relationship, I think we have reached a stage where perhaps we need to take a leap into more concrete collaboration in these areas. Quantum technology is certainly one of them. Not only on the B2B side, which I think would be of interest between the companies of India and Finland, but also in terms of a G2G cooperation. What can be done between DST and the Finnish side, how DST can collaborate with VTT and IQM and other quantum technology stakeholders. And since the National Quantum Mission was announced with an outlay of almost 750 million euros last month, a couple of months back in April, a decision has been taken to create T-hubs, in India. I think perhaps a lot of what we decided to do last year may have been already overtaken by events. It's a very ambitious announcement which has been done. I think it is going to run for the next 8 years till 2031. And I see a very strong role for the Finnish companies and also for Finland to contribute in a national quantum mission. How and in what form this contribution is going to be done, I don't think it's very clear. I think we are talking about a B2B, we are talking about a G2G. But given what has been announced and given the ambitious nature of the announcement, I think there is plenty of things which needs to be perhaps fleshed out in terms of what both countries can do. I do hope that this event, when we have managed to bring the stakeholders from both sides together, will trigger some sort of cooperation. I think perhaps take us more in the concrete direction that, okay, fine, let's work together. We have the National Quantum Mission of India. You have your own strength in quantum technology. You have your organizations. You have your companies. And these are the few ways in which India and Finland can cooperate. But as I said, that the trust is the most important factor at this stage. Trust that we could cooperate in deep technologies and deep tech with India by the Finnish companies and also by the Finnish government. That is going to be the key in the next few years. I wish all of you a very productive session and collaboration. And I look forward to engaging with the Finnish companies as well. I mean, if there are questions, if you want to be connected to the Indian side, please let us know. Me and my team will be there to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Raveesh Kumar, for your valuable remarks. And now let's move on to our next session, where we have Dr. Jarno Limnell, who's the chair of Espoo Council and a member of the Finnish Parliament. He has more than 25 years' experience as an officer in the Finnish Defence Forces, in management positions, and also within the private sector, and also as a professor at Aalto University. According to his website, his most important lesson has been that everything is possible when we work together with determination and by taking care of it in the common spirit, which makes him exactly the right person to deliver the presentation highlighting the significance of this partnership and the opportunities it will give us. So please welcome Mr. Jarmo, or Dr. Jarmo. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Your Excellency, friends, if I may just say. Let me start with two main points. First of all, I don't know better place to organize this gathering than the place that we are at the moment. Just think about it. When you walk out that door, you can see Aalto University, one of the best universities in the world, and you can see the latest science innovations, VTT. In this building, and just behind that hill, you can see the best and most successful technological companies in Finland, in Keilaniemi. In this area, this was pretty much different looking 10 years ago, but city of Espoo has been investing a lot to develop this area, creating new infrastructure and so on. But the best is to come. If you want to be, as you know, successful in technology, you need innovative, you need good people. And in this area, you can find them. And I have to say, especially when we are discussing here excellent cooperation with India, I have lots of Indian students when I'm teaching cybersecurity in Aalto University. And many of them are actually women. So this is a great place to organize this. But if you want to be really successful in this technological era, I would say that this Otaniemi ecosystem is not enough. You need good international partnerships. And that's why I think we are here today. My second point is that probably some of you know that we are negotiating new government at the moment. It will come. And I can assure you that when we have been discussing about the future of Finland, the future of the whole world in House of Estates in Helsinki, we have been discussing pretty much about the technology as well. Also quantum technologies. But let's see what will be written on the final program. So we are on the topical issues at the moment very much. So when I'm thinking about how to develop digital partnership or technological partnership between Finland and India, what I do? Of course, I ask that from the chat GPT. And this was actually the answer, what I got. there were many other points as well. But I think this is good example also that these are pretty good ones. How we should develop our utilizing technology, how we should develop our partnership. And even if, for example, in Finnish media, war news, and of course the not so nice news from Ukraine and otherwhere are actually prevailing our news at the moment, we should remember that even if there is this fog of war ongoing, the biggest megatrend for the whole humankind, what is happening at the moment, and that is the development of technology. Accelerating development of technology. So for example, I and Jukka, when we were kids, no, there were no internet, but we managed anyway. I have 3 kids. During their whole childhood, there has been internet. And they have pretty much different viewpoint on how to do things because internet has always been with them. But think about the children that are being born this year. They will live their whole life, for example, with artificial intelligence. And it will be totally different viewpoint what they are having. And I would say that the biggest trend what will change the logic that we will think as humans, also in business, is the technological one. And I really liked when the ambassador was referring and emphasizing the role of trust. This is actually the framework what we are using in Aalto University when we are teaching cybersecurity, security management. And the main message to students and to you as well is that in the middle of this framework there is no word in the technological era, security or safety. There is word trust. And how to build, strengthen and maintain trust in the technological era, that is a responsible question as well. And as my opinion, that is not something that you can do only by your own. You need credible, you need trusted partnerships. So, the more technology we are going to have, I would say that more or wiser and more ethical we humans have to be. And want it or not, this is the scheme globally where we are at the moment and where we are heading to. And the global technological competition is actually accelerating at the moment. And this is something what really affects Finland, India, and all the countries in the whole world. And this is about the competition for talent. This is about how to invest and produce innovations. This is about how to create a new technological order, what we are doing at the moment. And then, of course, how to maintain trust in the sense of security. So, ladies and gentlemen, trusted partnerships are a necessity, as my opinion. Not a good thing, but a necessity at the moment. And I would say that I'm very happy in my role as the chairman of City Council of Espoo to be here and also hopefully strengthen technological partnerships between Espoo, Finland and India. And I would say our biggest strength is the innovative people. And we have them in India, we have them here in Espoo, and that's why I believe that we will have a good future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jarno, for your enlightening remarks and presentation. Now let's focus on the city of Espoo and gain insights into the thriving business ecosystem, and hear from Mr. Ossi Ritvos, who's the Senior Business Advisor for Growth at Enter Espoo. Sorry, I think I made a mistake in my apologies. I have a different. Can I just look at the thing? No, it is Ossi. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Ossi, it is you, but I'll just briefly introduce yourself. Yeah, please. Yeah. But I would like to introduce what I have found from your website, which is actually quite interesting. So according to Ossi's bio in Enter Espoo, Ossi is social and easygoing. Ossi performs best in complex projects under tight schedules. When the situation looks hopeless, Ossi starts to warm up. As a traditional Finn, business comes before pleasure to him. However, outside office, you might find Ossi at Nuxio's remote areas or at Espoo's local breweries, which I would like to know more about after that. And if you are lucky enough to catch him, you're sure to get the friendliest of welcomes, whoever you are. So after hearing this, I'm sure you'll be delighted, like me, to have Ossi among us today and share his views. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This became like a dating show now, but Your Excellencies, friends, honorable guests, especially coming all the way from India, welcome from my behalf, and let me tell you something about the city of Espoo. So we call the city of Espoo a city of deep tech and nature, and deep tech we call it because most of the startups and scale-ups are based on research. So most of the companies have scientists inside them, and that's like we are very proud of. Can proudly say that we are a city of deep tech. And nature, of course, the other angle is that just like 5 minutes walk from here, you can reach a bird tower where you can see maybe 200 different bird species, and 25 minutes drive, you are in the national forest where you can even meet bears if you are unlucky. And of course, we have the biggest Indian community in Finland inside Espoo, which also is donating a lot to the city of deep tech. I'm representing the Enter Espoo, which is a company owned by Enter Espoo, and chairman of our board is Mayor Jukka Mäkelä, and also our closest counterparts, VTT Technical Research Center and Aalto University, are in the board, so we are in the good hands. Our mission is to attract and help international companies to come to Espoo, and also to do some activities with the local companies and help Espoo-based companies to succeed. So this is like what we do here. So we are a matchmaker, and we enable things. So let me tell you a little bit about Espoo's innovation community. Like, we are in a very special place because these spots, they're circulated just 10 minutes from the Helsinki downtown. Here we have the biggest Finnish companies in like 1 or 2 kilometers from here, and half of Helsinki Stock Exchange market value is here. Also, on the other hand, we have the maybe most significant deep tech startup community in Europe here in this same spot. Also, Aalto University, who also has this Aalto Startup Center, which is ranked top 3 world university startup accelerators. And VTT Technical Research Center, which is also a really good source of deep tech startups. This is very like special place, and with the low hierarchy, it means that also the startups can easily communicate with the corporates and do things together. Yeah, and over half of the residents over 24 have university degrees. So and this is whole Espoo. So in this area, maybe every second person is a doctor when you walk outside.
It's 54%.
Oh, it's new. Yeah, it's growing. Yeah, and one thing is that English has official status as a public service language, which is Espoo has that, but not all the cities in Finland. So we are like also putting effort to help expatriates and foreign people to come here. Aalto University, our closest counterpart, is, of course, a combination of business, art, and design, and more than half of the startups, university startups, are coming from Aalto. And Aalto Startup Center, it's here just 1 kilometer from here, is ranked in the top 3 of the university worldwide, accelerators worldwide. VTT, also the largest applied research institution in the Nordics, and one thing to mention about VTT that almost half of the turnover comes abroad, so it's not local company or organization, it's very, very well known in the Europe and whole world. And we are the Finland's growth engine. Almost half of the stock exchange value comes from here, and also more than half of the patents applications in Finland are submitted by Espoo-based organizations. And inside Europe, we are number 6 in the number of applied patents, total number of the applied patents. So as a city of 300,000 people, it's quite good. Our deep tech startup community, something to mention that many things are student driven here, so it's coming from the bottom to the top. So the slush has become started from the startup sauna. Actually, that's the origin of many Finnish startups, and also most of the Finnish unicorns are born here. Maybe you recognize the gaming companies Supercell and Rovio. They are originally also Supercell from here. And soon to be unicorns, IQM is represented here, and also ISI satellite technology, Enfuse. Banking, Dispelix is doing AR, VR waveguides and infinited fiber recycling materials, so very deep tech focused. A shared purpose, we call a shared purpose because maybe the words like sustainability is like something that many places talk about it, but here most of the companies are actually really want to go the same direction and resolve the problems we are facing today. And right now, actually, one of the biggest things happening here is that we are planning an industry-driven piloting and development facility in Espoo, and it's next to Micronova, and I will tell you what is the Micronova. Micronova is a shared clean room facility just behind corner of this building, and it's run by VTT and Aalto University and about 20 other companies as users at the moment. And it's concentrated to research, and right now it's getting too small, so it's full. So we want to build a next facility next to this building, and that one is called Quantinova, which will be concentrated to quantum industry. And quantum industry and microelectronics. And now we are in the phase of talking with the companies and finding out the needs of the shared clean room facility, and it's going to be industry driven. So we are only the facilitator at the moment, and companies will take the charge later. So now there's the discussions going on with the companies, and hopefully later this year we know that how big facility there will be built and how the things will be proceeding. But here is also the project director of Quantinova, Mr. Pekka Sivonen, here in the audience. So please come to talk to him after this if you find this suitable for your company. And also well-being. This is something in City of Espoo we put a lot of effort, and it's not enough that there is a good job for example, Indian person to come here, but also they need schools for kids, and spouses need jobs, and also there should be activities, and the city should recognize them to make the living better for everybody. So this is something we are working very closely now on. And that's in a nutshell what Enter Espoo does and Espoo is doing. So thank you for my behalf.
Thanks a lot, Ossi. That was very interesting and very much in line with the bio that you have on your website. So now we'll shift gears now And we'll now start to talk about the quantum side, and we will commence the first session of the event by focusing on the quantum ecosystem in both countries, shedding light on their respective advancements and developments so far. And I'd like to start this session by welcoming Colonel Ashit Kumar Nath, who is the Executive Director of Corporate Strategy and of CDAC Pune. Colonel Nath has been with CDAC since 2010. Prior to CDAC, Colonel Nath spent 25 years in the Indian Army, Corps of Signals, as a graduate of the National Defense Academy with a BTech from the Military College of Telecom Engineering and an MTech from the Indian Institute of Technology. He is spearheading several important programs, including the National Supercomputing Mission and the Quantum Computing Mission at CDAC. He has also formulated the transfer of technology and commercialization policy at CDAC. He is also the chairman of CDAC's Academic Council. So a lot of interesting things that we can talk to him about. Colonel Nath will present the Indian quantum ecosystem, shedding light on the advancements and achievements. So please join me in inviting Colonel Nath to the podium to share his thoughts with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vishal, and very good morning, all of you. His Excellency, Mayor of Espoo, Jukka Mäkelä, Excellency Raveesh Kumar, the Ambassador, and Jarno Limnell, who was there a little while ago because of his commitment, probably he's left, and all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. It's indeed a matter of great pride and privilege to be standing here and presenting to you about the Indian quantum technology ecosystem. Well, I would just briefly spend a while in letting you know the characteristic or the DNA of the Indian startups and the R&D and the other ecosystem which is there. India is characterized, or rather our any kind of ecosystem in India is characterized by real frugal innovation. And so is the case with our quantum ecosystem, which is, as brought out by Vishal, that it's in the infancy as of now. But having said that, there is no dearth of innovation, there is no dearth of frugal innovation. There were a lot of lack of opportunities, but then the ecosystem is still so vibrant, so eager to move, that even the lack of opportunity is seen as an opportunity. And that is how people are moving forward. As my presentation progresses, you will be witness to the what I am saying is actually true, because such a lot of work is actually happening in this field of quantum technologies, which includes communication, which includes computing, which includes materials, and so on and so forth. And a very little investment happened from the government side earlier, but now I think with this recent announcement of the National Quantum Mission and huge amount of funding which Ambassador Raveesh Kumar has brought out in front of you, I'm sure it will really accelerate the quantum ecosystem in India. But nevertheless, a lot of developments, a lot of innovations have happened, even without all that, and we'll see what has happened. I'm sorry, I think there is some some technology glitch which has happened. I tried to, so please don't mind the misplacement of the letters here and there on the slides. Yeah. We all know that God exists, but we still go to the temple. So this is just to reiterate that yes, quantum is required, quantum is essential for all of us. So I won't spend much time on that. We all know that quantum market is growing at an exponential pace with a CAGR of 33.1%, and we all are players. And This is a very well known slide, and now with that $1.2 billion investment by India, out of which some of it has already come through, and most of it we plowed in the next 8 years. I think we have a place amongst the large players in the world now. So, the Indian ecosystem, the quantum ecosystem, is characterized by government support, academia, R&D, organizations, startups. The interest of the enterprises, which is there in the maturing the technologies which is produced by the academia and the R&D, and the workforce development, in the sense that capacity building, the skill development, etc. So all these are essential spokes in the wheel of the quantum ecosystem development in India. So these are the goals set forward by NASSCOM for India by 2030, by which time I think our national quantum mission will be maturing. So very ambitious goals. Now, what I was talking about earlier can be seen by this McKinsey report about the talent which is there in India and working in the area of quantum computing, and the kind of courses which are being offered by various institutes. You have Indian Institute of Science, you have IIT Madras, you have Defence Institute of Advanced Technology, which is the DRDO institution. You have ISI Kolkata, ISER Pune, HRI Allahabad, IIT Delhi, RRI Bangalore, and so many other private institutes offering courses in quantum technologies. Despite the fact that there's not much of a market in quantum technologies in India, except quantum communications to some extent. But students are very eager to embrace this niche technology because they know the future. And there is more and more proliferation now of quantum in India because of the traction it's achieving because of the government initiatives. Now this, I have just tried to plot the recent achievements in the quantum area in the on the timeline, which started with Quest. I just put it, I think I just put it now, that has caused all the misplacement of the letters which you saw. You know what all happened with Quest? There's a DST program in 2019 which got announced, and about 80 crore rupees were put into the system, which actually spurred the research in quantum computing in whole lot of academic institutions and R&D institutions in India. And then followed by TOS and CDAC, we started working together on quantum computing. DRDO successfully demonstrated QKD between two labs. DYSL QT is the Young Scientists Initiative Lab. They demonstrated QRNG technology. This is all in quantum communication. ISRO demonstrates first free space quantum communication over 300 meters. Then ISER established this. There's another program called NMICPS, National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems, which is on in India since long, but the quantum part of it started a little later. And Indian Institute of Science and Education Research in Pune, they established this innovation hub. And they are working now in trapped ions and photonics. Then in August 21, CDAC, IIT Roorkee and ISC Bangalore built India's quantum simulator, and we are using it very effectively for training purposes, for R&D, and we are having our own supercomputer in a box called Param Shavak, on which we port the simulator, and also on a large machine, on a very big machine. We have Param Siddhi, which is 210 AI petaflop. We have ported on some nodes this thing because it requires GPUs. So we have ported these, and it's working very, very effectively as far as the training models are concerned. So students and researchers are able to build their own circuits. They have a very innovative IDE in which they can introduce noise, they can work with circuits, they can work with the algorithms and port and see the behavior of these algorithms on simulators. Then 22 was a a big year of traction in quantum technologies, where IIT Delhi demonstrated this quantum communication. It's a 100-kilometer link. Then India, Finland established this virtual network center on quantum computing, which has been talked about. IIT Madras and Emphasis collaborate on quantum computing. Tech Mahindra, they have established their facility here as well as in India, in Pune, on quantum computing. Then in Delhi, India's first quantum computing based telecom network link became operational in between two buildings, and it has been thrown open as a challenge to hackers to hack the link. Until now, nothing has happened, thankfully. Then Cabinet approved this National Quantum Mission, and then TCG Crest, which is a academic institution with private funding in India, started building its own quantum computer. So this is some very significant news. And then talking about the National Quantum Mission, it represents a very, very significant step forward for India's research and development efforts in the quantum sector. Now it is actually focusing on all the four facets of quantum technologies, not just limited to computing, but communications, sensing and metrology, and materials and devices. And it is actually, it's focusing on things which are required more so for the Indian ecosystem. It's focusing on equally on all these different facets. So a lot of devices are being talked about, a lot of sensors are being talked about, navigation devices, and so many other things other than just quantum computing. So this is, shortly the objectives. Intermediate scale quantum computers with 52,000 physical qubits in 8 years. This is likely to obviously have mid-course corrections, because 8 years is a long time. And technology, which way it goes, which kind of way or technology to realize qubits. Today it's superconducting, tomorrow it may be semiconductors or cold atoms or whatever. So anything can happen in this area. So as of now, just to have a inkling about what would be the goal is this, and this itself is a big goal. And talking about again our ecosystem, we conducted a global seminar in Pune in hybrid mode in CDAC, and a lot of foreign companies participated, including IQM, including Qblocks, Quantrolox. We had professors from Oxford University, we had professors from Calgary University, we had IBM, a whole lot of other people like Quantum Machines, Keysight Technologies, Mabel. All these people participated in that seminar, along with the Indian ecosystem in quantum computing. So the first time we got together all the players, not just in the processor technologies, but in all the subsystems which go into building a quantum computer. So this is an initiative we took for the first time in getting together the entire ecosystem and to see what is happening in India about everything. And we were in for a very pleasant surprise that we had players in each and every kind of subsystem in India at various stages of evolution. I wouldn't say that all the technologies were mature, but yes, we had people working in processors, and processors of all the kinds. You had people working in photonics, you had people working in superconducting, you had people working in NV center diamond, coal atoms, ion traps, all these kind of technologies, and at various stages. And despite the fact that they had very little funding, but still they were going, they were moving on. And that's what is the DNA of the Indian ecosystem all about. Then we had people working in cryogenics technologies. All they had to do was convert that into, the RF included in that, to make a dilution refrigerator. So we have a base in cryogenics. It's not that we need to start from the beginning. We have a base, and we had people working in control electronics. We had people working in error correction algorithms in IIT Madras and so many other institutions. We have people working in algorithms in IISER Kolkata, in IISc, and so many other academic institutions. Even in CDAC, we have people working in control electronics. We already built FPGA-based control electronics for superconducting as well as photonics. And all the other facets, the use case developments, system software, we have people everywhere. So all that is needed is the right kind of push, the right kind of focus, and a nucleus to actually drive the entire ecosystem towards goal-oriented, deliveries, timeline-oriented deliveries, intermediate deliveries, which can be actually seen on the ground. So that is now going to happen because of this National Quantum Mission. It has a very, very good and a well laid out governing structure where these technology hubs are going to drive this innovation towards goal-oriented and focused intermediate deliveries. We're going to see things on ground, and it'll be a very tight governing mechanism where you will have goals. You have funding based on those goals, and the funding will be tightly controlled. There will be evaluation committees. There will be expert evaluation committees, which will be global. And more important than that, and you would like to hear that there is a special, very special paragraph on international collaborations, because the thought process is that why reinvent when a thing has happened? Collaborate, co-develop towards the future, rather than reinvent the same thing which has happened across. So that's the ethos with which we will be moving forward in the National Quantum Mission. And then, of course, you have the other objectives on satellite-based and ground-based communications. As I come forward, we also started working in drone-based QKD, non-terrestrial communications. We strive to develop magnetometers, atomic clocks, synthesis of quantum materials, single photon. These are the devices which we want to make under the National Quantum Mission. So this is the whole, in short, because of 20 minutes, this is what I could actually put in a condensed manner to give you just the idea of what the National Quantum Mission is all about. And then, of course, now I'll be coming to what Indian institutions are doing, what Indian startups are doing. I'm very sorry about this mix-up. Essie warned me, but then I didn't listen to her and started modifying something at the last moment. Really sorry. So I have Quantum Foundation. That's well established now, and you see the people in various events, and they're working ahead in the iron trap and other technologies like encrypted communications, atomic clocks, etc. This is in Pune. Then you have this quantum information science, earlier called Quest, which I would say kicked off the quantum research in a serious way in India with an outlay of 80 crore rupees, which would be just about 10 million euros. Yeah. But anyway, in a lot of labs and all across India, all this work which you see today started happening in all facets of quantum technologies. So the broad objectives are development, demonstration of computers, quantum communication, cryptography, and quantum enhanced and inspired technologies, advanced mathematical quantum techniques, algorithms. Now, the length and breadth of the Indian ecosystem would be known now. We have done some technology mapping during that seminar, and we're just bringing out the people who are working in the various technologies. The superconducting, you have TIFR, you have ISC Bangalore, you have QPI technologies. Photonics, you have so many people working. Chip scale trap development for atoms and ions, you have all these other processor technologies like NV center diamond and so many others, cold atoms. You have ion traps. You have many people working in India. Dilution refrigerator, you have 3 players. I won't say dilution refrigerators. It's actually cryogenics, can be converted to dilution refrigerators. And all these are, other than IIT Bombay, they are agencies under the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. Then you have control measurement electronics. You have so many people working. Benchmarking, simulators, capacity building. Then you come to algorithm, software, error correction. You have whole lot of people there, starting from ISC to SETS Chennai to TCG Crest to ICERS and Tech Mahindra and TCS and so many people. So, I mean, there's no dearth of talent as you see in India from this kind of presentation I'm making. Then this is something about the QSIM which I talked about, that it has 2 flavors, one on the bigger machine and one on the smaller machine. The the desktop form factor. This is the Center of Excellence in Quantum Technology established by MAITI, under funding of MAITI, with CDAC, with RRI and an Institute of Science in Bangalore, where a 4-qubit quantum processor development has happened and demonstrated. You see the Blue Force fridge there. Single photon sources detectors were supposed to be developed, quantum algorithms, post-quantum cryptography. All these were the objectives. Quantum sensing and FPGA-based control and measurement hardware development for 4-qubit quantum processor, which has been done by CDAC, and obviously the Python-based software. So it's entire ecosystem, other than of course, the dilution fridge, which has been talked about and attempted here under this Center of Excellence. Sorry. Yeah. So this is another new and innovative project which we have started working on now, and that is on porting quantum algorithms and on various accelerator cards, which can be directly ported onto a HPC host computer, and to study the behavior of various softwares and algorithms on these cards. We start with the GPU. A lot of progress has been made by NVIDIA on this, and they have announced their CUDA open libraries. Then other than that, we're trying it on vector cards, FPGAs, even IPUs. So this will be a revolutionary kind of a project, an exploratory project in which we will learn how quantum algorithms behave when they are being used on these accelerator cards, and what would be their performance vis-a-vis how they are running on the actual quantum computers which are being developed, and which is faster, which is not, and which use case runs better on any of these machines. So that result will come out once this project progresses ahead. Then very seriously we have started attempting, we are having a lot of expertise in CDAC on high performance computing, and not just the hardware part of it, in the system software stack. We have, as far as hardware is concerned, we have recently launched our own server based on our own designed motherboard called Rudra. So the server is coming into production. We have established 15 supercomputing facilities in India, which are designed by us, but based on servers supplied to us, the Bull Sequana server supplied to us by ATOS. But now there will be 10 superconducting computing facilities coming up in India, which will be solely based on our own servers, the Rudra-based servers. And the biggest one which will be coming in CDAC will be the 20 petaflop facility, and others coming up in various academic institutions. So we're just waiting for that, and this year you will hear a lot of announcements about these facilities. And one more activity we have started is that how to link up this with a quantum computer. So initially my team is now working very actively on linking, integrating quantum computer with the simulator which we have, and then we'll move on to a quantum computer. So something about quantum communication ecosystem in India. We have satellite-based communication, where we have players from Department of Atomic Energy, Physical Research Laboratory, Space Application Center, ISRO, RRI, Bangalore. Fiber optic communication, a lot of players are there in India. Simulation toolkits, teleportation, free space communication, quantum state interferography, and quantum key distribution. There's a whole lot of traction on these areas, and there's, I must admit that a lot of work in India has happened in this field, and it's quite that way mature compared to the other facets of quantum technologies, and there's a lot of traction there. So we hope that with the National Quantum Mission, quantum computing will see the same amount of traction in India. Then this is a metro area, it's called MAQAN, M-A-Q-A-N, Metro Area Quantum Access Network, which has been developed by Indian Institute of Department of Telecom, Indian Institute of Science, SETS Chennai, and Indian Institute of Science Bangalore, IIT Madras. And we have developed a network based on QKD across Chennai, and you see there are redundant routes also available. So this is a great experiment as to how to develop quantum networks across a city, and a 30-kilometer distance has been achieved. This is a very, very new technology. I think very few countries have started working on this technology. It's of real use to defense forces. We started working on this agile ad hoc free space communication, quantum communication using drones. So the challenge here is to develop the stabilization unit and the small form factor for the electronics to be carried on the drone, from where you can do the key distribution. Then we have MATI Quantum Computing Applications Lab, where it was set up in January 21, and you have design, test, and hybrid workloads on secure on-demand quantum hardware in this lab which is happening. And there is collaboration with Amazon. There's a whole lot of collaboration happening with them, and a lot of researchers, they get access to machines, the IBM machines, etc., through this network. We have a lot of people, researchers are now running their algorithms, use cases based on the shared time available through the Amazon Web Services onto the IBM machines. Now this is a very interesting slide. So the word startups has somehow hidden. This is about the Indian startups. So you see that actually I made it in the form of a tree, with the leaves coming out, young leaves coming out. So you have so many startups and even more in the Indian ecosystem today. In various areas, you name it, they are there. Quantum cryptography, communications, algorithms, even scheduling of Earth observation satellites, quantum annealing computers, adiabatic computers, and we have a recent startup coming up in the area of chip design, training courses, photonics quantum computers, and so on and so forth. So what I was talking about in the beginning, about even despite the lack of opportunities, you have people coming up, you have people taking the plunge, taking the daring to go and move ahead, and willing to go ahead. Definitely the government is very, very willing, very, very positive towards the startup ecosystem in India. And now with this National Quantum Mission, there is a separate place for collaborations with startups, with industry. So what will happen is that the entire ecosystem will actually now get energized, where the developments where academia has gone ahead, the R&D has gone ahead, will be, from the lab, they'll be got onto the land with the help of startups and industry. And these are the people who will be actually playing a key role in India's growth in quantum computing, in quantum communications, for taking various technologies from the TRL level 5 to TRL level 7, 8 and beyond. So this is another development. You have a not-for-profit company which is having huge collaborations with the Amazon Web Services and Microsoft and Reliance, and it's actually partnering, it's having a membership kind of an approach, the way standards bodies operate, and to enable and accelerate the quantum ecosystem in India. So this is again a great initiative coming from such organizations. It's called Quantum Ecosystem Technology Council of India, QETCI. And then we have Infosys. I see that we have someone from Infosys here. So there is a Quantum Living Lab, an initiative from ISETS that offers innovative solutions to its clients. As of now, industry is more into use cases and algorithms today. The services, they can provide services to anywhere, any customer in the world today in the area of quantum technologies. But we are expecting them to grow towards the hardware and the other kind of things which the sustainable growth of quantum computing ecosystem is looking forward. Then we have Emphasis, It's a patent pending classical quantum hybrid network consisting of energy optimization, which is there. Then we have Tech Mahindra. Today, I think we have someone from Tech Mahindra in the next session also. So you have their quantum lab in collaboration with industry and government partners in India, in Finland, and you have collaboration with IQM. And they are quite a robust partner and a promising partner in this area of fostering the quantum ecosystem and collaboration all across the world. You have TCS, again a very, very dominant industry player in India and investing a lot in R&D. So they have collaborations with standards bodies, with tech vendors, R&D, academia, national initiatives. Even CDAC has on their panel TCS, Tech Mahindra. We have already empaneled a lot of startups also in anticipation of the projects which are coming our way, either through National Quantum Mission or other projects like we have started this the drone project, and we are going ahead with the accelerator project. So you'll see more and more startups and industry participation in these kind of joint efforts. And we also look forward through that route of Indian startups, Indian industry, industry from let's say Finland coming in. That's a easier route. Collaboration with Indian startups can happen, and then we are already collaborating with the Indian startups or Indian industry. So that's again something which needs to be talked about, something which needs to be deliberated upon as to how that can happen. We had this Finland India Virtual Center of Excellence in Quantum Technology which happened, and the photograph is gone, I'm afraid. I don't know what has happened. Okay, so this is some quantum effect. All right. So we had a collaboration between DG Connect, which is a funding agency of the EU, and our parent organization, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, with CDAC as the implementing body. So this is a very important milestone which happened way back in November 22. And as a follow-up of that, we are collaborating in high performance computing and related applications, as well as in quantum technologies. So a very important delegation visit is happening on 15th and 16th of June, where experts from various areas are coming to CDAC Pune for a 2-day workshop, and we are going to come up with blueprints for joint collaborative projects in all these technologies, which includes quantum technologies. So lastly, what we can do together and how we can do together is given on this slide. Hardware development, system software development, collaboration with Finnish universities and research institutes, with the help of jointly funded research and development, institute to institute collaboration, joint testbed setups. Now this is a very important point, that once the National Quantum Mission comes into full force, it is expected that a lot of reference facilities will be set up in the country. Of course, there will be a thread where scientific development will continue at the pace it is continuing and accelerate. But in order to test and benchmark the developments which are happening in the labs and how it is coming onto the ground, you need reference facilities. So these reference facilities will be set up in various areas, maybe superconducting and photonics definitely. And that is where obviously there will be collaborations required from foreign players, and we look forward to people from here who can help us in set up these facilities. And not only just set up, we would be expecting them to to train our people to set up these facilities from grounds up, from a knockdown condition in the country, so that our own players which are in the various subsystems can actually participate in building up these facilities and learning from that and accelerating their own learning curve. And then co-development with foreign players to go towards the bigger goals. That would also be part of these reference facilities. Sector-specific consortia events, We have been having them. Development of standards, so very important. This area, it definitely needs standards, because once we are moving and we have supply chains set up, we'll have interfaces, we'll need standards. So as of now, I think that's an area where probably not much of an emphasis is being laid down, but this is the area of the future. Then academic exchange programs, skill development programs, incubators, etc., etc. So these are some potential areas of engagement. And thank you very much for having me here. It is a pleasure. Pleasure is mutual. Indeed, a great opportunity given to me, and I thank you for this opportunity to bring you the entire Indian ecosystem in this short while of 20 minutes. But I'm here for Q&A. I'm here for this whole day. And anything from your side, I'll be very glad to connect you, because we have a good connect with the Indian ecosystem. I can act as a facilitator and enabler for connecting you to all these players which I just showed you with the Indian ecosystem. So we can keep in touch, and my contact is available here with a lot of people. So the idea is to, not just touch base with a few players, but I think with all these players which I showed you, which are part of a very, very vibrant Indian ecosystem. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Nath. That was a very kind of wide-ranging introduction to the Indian ecosystem, and a lot of good ideas came up. I'm sure people have taken notes here for any potential collaborations. For the next speaker here, I would like to invite Mr. Ville Kotovirta, who's the leader of quantum algorithms and software team at VTT. He will share his insights on the Finnish quantum ecosystems here. Now we have Ville. Please join me in welcoming him.
So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce Finnish quantum ecosystem. And I'm leading quantum algorithms and software team at VTT, so I'd like to first introduce VTT, then VTT's activities in quantum, then Finnish quantum ecosystem, and then concentrate on some quantum algorithms and software topics done in the ecosystem. So, VTT has around 2,000 researchers working on different topics, from carbon neutral solutions to sustainable products and services to digital technologies. And VTT was founded during the war times to promote Finnish business and technology and science, and it has been apparently successful, as VTT is one of the leading research organizations in Europe. And VTT is focusing on applied research, so taking those basic research results from universities to products and services developed by companies. And VTT is working on quantum technology. We have been part of this gold science in Finland, in Otaniemi area, and developing quantum devices and systems for quantum computation, quantum sensing, and quantum communication. And Micronova was already mentioned. It's an in-house fabrication facility close by here, and they have been developing, fabricating commercial magnetometers since 90s. And we are hosting Finland's first quantum computer called Helmi, that's Pearl in Finnish. And now we have 5 qubits operational for research scientists in Finland, and 20 qubits is under calibration and benchmarking, and then we aim towards 50 qubits next year. And we are working on quantum algorithms and hybrid quantum classical computing. And then we are building first quantum key distribution test network in Finland as part of European activities. And we are also key player in European quantum flagship, which is a 1 billion euro investment in quantum technologies, and then they are coordinating projects and partnering in some of the key projects. Then we are working with foreign partners and companies. This is one reference coming from Canada, where Xanadu is developing photonic quantum computers and aiming at fault-tolerant universal quantum computer with 1 million qubits that would be available for people everywhere. And VTT's role is to develop these photon number resolving detectors in these quantum computers. And then VTT has a role in the quantum ecosystem in Finland as an RTO doing applied research, and there we have universities focusing on education and research, basic research activities, and companies developing products and services. And together we are applying funding from national sources like Academy of Finland and Business Finland, and also EU funding sources. Institute Q is one part of the ecosystem that is creating impact in research and education. Then we have Business Q, which is an ecosystem combining companies and research organizations, and there the impact in on business side and societal impact. And there we have companies developing quantum devices, quantum sensors, quantum technologies. We have companies developing quantum computer like IQM, and companies developing quantum chips like Semicon, mentioned today also, and companies developing these coolers for quantum computers like Blue Force. We have also companies developing quantum algorithms like algorithmic quantscience, and quantum software for quantum computers, and optimizing qubits like Quantrolox. And then, of course, end user companies are wanted in the network, are joining little by little companies that will apply quantum computing something useful to solve real world problems. The volume of the research is given by this chart. This is from Finnish Quantum Agenda that was published this year by Institute Q. And there we have the volume of around tens of millions coming from EU and national funding sources, mainly. About the company volume compared to some other countries, Finland has quite lively, active startup activity in compared to companies, to countries of similar size. There is turnover of all 100 million and VC funding nearly 300 million. And for instance, in Germany, the figures are 2 to 3 times higher, but Germany has 15 times larger economy than Finland. Then some words about the activities of quantum algorithms and software in this ecosystem. For instance, from Aalto University, we have multiple teams working on topics. Firstly, concentrating on developing quantum algorithms, variational algorithms, quantum machine learning, genetic algorithms, but then also about software engineering of analyzing the quantum software, like performance and reliability, software design pattern and engineering methods. Then also one group is looking at the large-scale quantum computing from a software point of view, about compilation, optimization, verification, how this is done with larger computers. Even they are considering QRAM, how to make memories for quantum computers. And also applying classical machine learning to optimize quantum circuits via reinforcement learning or generative models for creating quantum circuits. Helsinki University, or University of Helsinki is one key partner in the ecosystem. They are looking into software engineering viewpoint, how software engineers are entering the field of quantum computing, how to transpile, optimize the circuits for quantum computers. Then doing some quantum sensing, so imaging, quantum ways, methods, and doing inverse scattering. University of Jyväskylä is also doing activities related to quantum software engineering and also quantum information research. And within VTT we have quantum algorithms and software activities, also foresight activities and cybersecurity, concentrating on post-quantum cryptography. And we are working on graph problems, quantum machine learning, quantum generative models. And next I would like to introduce some of those examples where we are working. So, something happened to this slide also. But our goal is to develop quantum computing applications for real-world problems, and for that we need to identify those problems, relevant problems that are quantumly easy. So that means that they are classically hard but could be solved using quantum computer. And we would like to estimate the scalability, the benefits of the algorithm, because the key question for everyone is that when there would be something beneficial coming out of quantum computing, when the benefit will exceed classical computing for some use cases. And for that we also need to develop quantum algorithms and evaluate them on quantum computers. First, let's look at its identification of problems. There we need companies, end user companies, and also researchers. We have those 2,000 researchers, ETT, who help us to look into domains and find the quantumly easy problems. We have also developed some processes for approaching this problem and work with companies. We are looking into the future, understanding trends and identifying opportunities and risks, and then really digging deeper into the use cases and try to find out those problems that could be worked on and create proof of concepts or prototypes. Then a few words about algorithm development. That's of course hard. In the other end, you could be developing totally new quantum algorithms, or on the other end, implementing already known use cases for different type of problems. One example is analyzing of complex network data, such that occur in real systems like technological or biological systems. And there we have developed community panning algorithm, quantum algorithm, that is good for detecting graph communities which are more densely connected parts of the network. That's good for analyzing the network, try to compress the information there, to understand the functional units of a network or missing links, and so forth. Another example comes from the area of quantum chemistry, and there we have applied this quantum community panning to reduce the complexity of a molecular Hamiltonian, to simplify simulations on that molecule. So the idea is to take the Hamiltonian matrix that describes the functionality of the molecule and take that as an adjacency matrix of a graph and run this community detection there. And by that way have the community structure of that matrix. And actually those communities could give a reduced representation. For instance, when computing the ground energy of a molecule, you are within the chemical accuracy of that by computing the ground energy from the community. Then next example is from the area of synthetic biology and machine learning. There the aim is to generate novel molecules, in this case proteins. And these generative models are such that they learn the data distribution and then create novel samples from that distribution. In this case, for instance, novel proteins. And we have been developing classical versions of these variational autoencoders and are aiming towards quantum versions, where the quantum could be part of the whole algorithm, solving the problem and generating novel molecules that could then be simulated or even produced in labs. So yeast cells could be programmed to create these proteins. And fourth example is cell lattice problems. So lattices can be described by these basis vectors, and there are infinite amount of ways to construct these basis vectors for lattice. But then to really make something useful, you would like to reduce these basis vectors to be as simple as possible, hopefully as orthogonal as possible. So one problem is to find these basis vectors, and one problem is to find the closest point in the lattice for a given vector. And these are NP-hard problems in higher dimensions. And there are two types of applications coming from this. One is, of course, to find as hard problems as possible that are hard even for quantum computers, so they are quantumly hard. And those are good for post-quantum cryptography, where you need algorithms that are not solvable with quantum computers. Another example, application example, is to find quantumly easy problems. So these NP-hard problems, but it could be solved with quantum computers. There are other examples like coming from the telecommunication, MIMO antennas, where you have multiple transmitters and multiple receivers, and you need to solve that symbol delivery problem fast in high bandwidth communication channels. Okay, then finally about evaluation of quantum computers. We have been developing this quantum computer Helmi, and that's cooperation with IQM co-development. And that we are developing also this quantum computing service that is now available for public research in Finland and will be later available commercially also. And we have integrated this with the Lumi supercomputer, which is the third fastest computer in the world currently. And the idea is that developer can develop hybrid algorithms where part of the job is done on the classical side and part is done on the quantum computer. And the secure connection demonstrated now between Lumi and Helmi. And this aims towards research on hybrid computing, where a larger problem could be split into classical and quantum parts, and then the final result would be the combination of both sides. And of course, supercomputers can be used for optimizing the parameters in the quantum circuit. We are talking about variational quantum computing and optimizing the circuits and the algorithms, but also participating in the data processing. And this is important and interesting scheme, especially towards companies, because now when we are talking about quantum computing, companies ask when this is available, when do we have the benefits, and when we say in 5 to 10 years, they say, okay, come back in 5 years then. But these classical algorithms give benefit already now, because we have the supercomputers. That's my words from Finnish quantum ecosystem, so thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ville, for your time. I think the presentation gave us a very wide aspect of the Finnish ecosystem, but also was excellent in the depth of the work going on at VTT. So now let's move on to the next stage of the program, and we will have a panel session, and there should be people also joining in from India. And out here onto the stage, I'd like to welcome Mr. Juha Vartiainen, or Dr. Juha Vartiainen from IQM. And Juha, you can take the seat here. And Anssi Salmela, the Chief Technical Operations Officer at Blue Force. So please come onto the stage here, and let's get ourselves sorted. And very soon, I should have the team from India make their appearance on the screen. Will they be excellent? I can see Ruth there. Hi, Ruth, if you can see me.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi. And so I'll briefly, I don't see Nikhil yet. Yeah, just bear with me. While we wait for Nikhil to join, I think what we could do is I would ask each of the panelists already here to briefly, in 30 seconds, introduce their organizations and what they do. And after that, I have 4 questions lined up. And post the questions, we will also open up the house for the questions. People here can just raise their hand. The mic will float around. People online can ask in the chat. And then we can move from there. Juha, do you want to start?
I'm happy to start. Yeah, my name is Juha Vartiainen. I'm the co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of IQM. We are the largest European company building quantum computers based on superconducting technology. We have 250 people working for the company. We have offices in 5 countries: Finland, Germany, Spain, France, and now in Singapore. We see a lot of opportunity in Asia, in India especially. We have been working in several countries. We have, like you saw the project in Finland, we have a similar one in Germany. We also in Spain signed the contract. We have a project in Israel and working with academic groups in 5 different countries.
Anssi, over to you. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah,
and
I can. So,
the company?
yeah, thank you for inviting me here. I come from Blueforce. My name is Anssi Salmela. Blueforce manufactures cryogenic measurement systems. So you can use them in many applications, but of course one big customer segment for us is quantum technology, quantum engineering. Blueforce is about 15 years old, now a bit more than 15 years old company. We have now about 600 people, 450 in Finland, rest globally. Yeah, so in short, kind of that's us.
And now over to our guest from India. So Ruth, if you can please introduce yourself and your organization in 30 seconds.
Sure. First of all, it is an honor to be with such distinguished gentlemen. I'm Ruth Lainswala, the founder and CTO of Boson QSci. We are developing a quantum-based engineering simulation software, which are looking to help out enterprise customers in the mobility sector. We have about 30 people, primarily residing out of India, but we also have offices in UK, in Cambridge, UK, as well as upstate New York in the US region. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. And Nikhil, over to you. So a 30-second introduction about yourself and your organization's role in quantum computing. We can't hear you. Yeah. No. Well, this is a very good way of thinking that while we are trying to solve the next generation technologies, there are plenty of employment opportunities trying to solve, video conferencing and all that. So.
Let me know if you're able to hear me now, Vishal.
Yeah, fantastic.
Brilliant. Or a little refresh always helps. So, off the page, and thank you so much, Vishal. See you. Good to have Juha and Ruth and other distinguished panelists. First of all, I want to thank the Embassy, Enter Espoo, for having us over here, discuss about what quantum or what technology in general can be made between India and Finland. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra organization spread across 90-odd countries. What we are essentially doing is we are looking at how can we bridge the gap between AI and in terms of how we look at quantum machine learning. We've been involved with IQM. We've been involved with CDAC as an organization, which Colonel Nath represented about a couple of minutes ago. Behind this is that there's a huge in terms of what customers are demanding, not from an AI perspective as well, but also looking forward as Horizon 2, we call it as technologies. Group, which is essentially the R&D division for Tech Mahindra, looks at some of those things for our customers. So that's a brief introduction.
All right, excellent. So let's get started. I have 4 questions prepared, and I would ask those questions and would like to get each of yours opinion on those questions. Do try and keep your answers limited to 2-3 minutes so that we can continue with the next question and also in the end have an opportunity for the audience to ask theirs. So the first question to the panelists, that how do you see the evolution of quantum computing industry over the next 2 years and your organization's part in that evolution? Do you want to start with that answer?
Yeah, I can start. Thanks. So 2 years, it's a short time. That's the challenge for the question. But because I think we are living in like a breakthrough time, so kind of things are moving, but also that makes timing very challenging. But kind of what we are doing, we want to make sure cryogenics is not the problem. So we are improving, we are developing our own offering. We are also trying to lower the boundary even more to use cryogenic systems. So we have some ideas that we are even now piloting in Delft. So we have a lab that is open access. People can come there. It's kind of, you can read it by week. It's the full setup. It's quite, let's say, small, but still a complete setup where kind of each piece of the technology stack can be individually tested. And I kind of, if that works, of course, we are expanding that to different regions as well. But kind of for us, kind of we want to enable the breakthrough and kind of we want to industrialize what we are doing and kind of make sure kind of we can offer what is needed, and cryogenics will not be the limiting factor. Longer term, maybe 2 years already, but kind of if the breakthrough happens or kind of if the pace gets faster, I think the whole community might be facing some resource problems, like on the kind of skilled workforce side, and that's also one thing that we have to take into account. That how do we kind of make sure it doesn't become a bottleneck? So technology is one, of course. Like at the moment, this is very R&D driven, and kind of basically all people who are operating these systems are basically scientists. And kind of one thing that has to at some moment change is that, so we need also kind of operators, and the devices have to be at the level that you can operate them. And then also just widening kind of the base where kind of talent can be found, and kind of I guess there India is a big opportunity for talented people.
Oh, fantastic. And I think I can definitely say that the open access lab that you have in Delft is working very well, and we as Quantrolox are very happy users of that. Juha, from your perspective, in the next 2 years, what do you see the key kind of targets for IQM?
Yeah, so I would first look at the big picture, and like in big, I see that quantum computing is growing a lot. So this is like a fastly growing area. There are like in many countries, like in India, there are like $1 billion level national research programs and fundings. So those will be like fully implemented during next 2 years, and that brings like a lot of volume to all the research and engineering what will be done in this sector. At the same time, there are mega trends. So let's say the AI that we have already seen there are so many touch points to quantum that will be definitely affecting it. Then there is of course the climate crisis, all the sustainability topics. So if we can help there with quantum, that will be a big thing. And also what comes to the life sciences. So those three are the big application areas. Quantum computing is still below this threshold of quantum advantage being useful for commercial purpose. So in 2 years we will be much closer to that, if not even over that line, and that will bring end users. So as Anssi mentioned, so that probably would increase the let's say the usability of quantum computing a lot, and maybe the AI also makes there when quantum and AI are combined. So that brings a big change. And then if we look at the companies, so there are at the moment a lot of let's say academic startups and then the bigger companies like Tech Mahindra, they are looking at the subject, and in 2 years we would foresee that this gets much more mature. So there will be consolidation of companies, smaller startups merged together, or big companies, and then there will be like much more mature companies working in this area, and this whole, let's say, technology will be becoming like a real industry, whereas the academic research will have its own function. And when looking at the value chain, so they will get more diverse. So like IQM is now the full stack company doing all and everything, or like of course using the other like partners equipment. So there will be like much more, let's say, diverse value chain, and there will be like vendors for subcomponents and let's say, for example, there we can understand that no single company or even a country like Finland can work alone, but we need partners. So there will be Finnish, there will be Indian companies contributing the same value chains, and then this whole ecosystem is growing, not just on Espoo area or particular area in India, but the whole world where the trade is free, they can work together, and like this, of course, brings this geopolitical situation, which is very unfortunate in current years. But like it's good to have a friends, and it's good to have a free trade, and it's good to have partners in friendly countries.
Thanks for those points, Juha. And I think those two important points, that in 2 years the end users will have a chance to start using quantum computers more. And I think the question of supply chains building out is very important, because I think that's really required to get the whole kind of system and kind of more systems to be deployed. Next question to Juha. If you can start with this question, is that, no, I'm sorry, my bad, we are still on that same question. So I would like to get Ruth, your perspective on the next 2 years. How do you see the perspective from your company evolving?
Yes, thank you very much. And what I will also like to add is what the previous presentation by VTT kind of mentioned is they've already seen some applications of hybrid quantum classical solutions applied. However, they were for some use cases, and I will kind of go out on a limb and say that they were for very specific use cases. Now, the transformation that we foresee in the next 2 years, it will be at an inflection point such that the hybrid quantum classical solutions will be brought out from the lab environment into the production environment. And kind of what Juha is kind of hinting towards is bringing it out to the industries, the end users at the end. And so for a company like us, which we are developing a software, a quantum-based software, we have a lot of algorithms that we're developing. Both currently we're working on quantum inspired, which are essentially just using quantum simulators. But that inflection point that we're looking forward to in the next 2 years will be transforming quite readily into the hybrid quantum classical space, from which we can readily give our end customers. And since we are in the whole values supply chain that Juha was talking about, we're at the very top. We do not deal with, we are not a full stack company. And so we are at the very end interacting with the end user customers who will be utilizing our software. And so with this hybrid approach, we believe that will be kind of ongoing and much more maturing than it is today. The advantages at the end of the day that the users will be tremendous. And the potential that everybody has been seeing that quantum computing has, it actually will be realizable much more so in the next 2 years than it has been today.
All right. It's very nice to hear from a software perspective. What do you think the kind of problems we'll be able to solve already in the next 2 years, even when we don't have the actual quantum computers in a hybrid environment? So that brings very nicely on to Nikhil, your organization, because you guys have a very long track record in solving real world problems for the customers. Would love to hear kind of not just your kind of perspective on the next 2 years, but also understand the demand for the solutions the kind Ruth's organization is kind of providing.
Yeah, look, I would give you an answer in two formats, right? I have a positive answer, an optimistic one, and a pessimistic one as well. The optimistic answer is that I think, and I'll start from where I am hoping that US Pune becomes for quantum, because we've got CDAC, we've got us, and we've got some of the others like Ruth's organization here operating in Pune. The other thing is I would also look at some of our customers and partners driving quantum or hybrid quantum use cases, especially companies like banking and financial services, which have taken the lead in asking for some of these solutions in forefront. They would also be companies with like healthcare as well as routing and logistics companies looking energy, mobility. These are companies, and we would see some practical use cases, at least not from real quantum computers, but at least from an optimization standpoint, if they can actually solve some of these challenges, right? Optimization, whether we are looking at from a use case perspective, or whether we are looking at from a a machine learning optimization perspective in terms of what we do for quantum. The other optimistic viewpoint, and I was the first one to, I predicted that there'll be a demise of 25. So we are hoping transistor demises. And when I say demise of transistor, we are saying no more chips to be packed in. So the solutions to GPUs and the problems of AI will actually be shifted across to quantum computing in some way or the other, where industry takes shape. The pessimistic point of view, Vishal, over here is that even for AI, if you look at the spread of artificial intelligence, 15% of AI systems go into production today. Only 15, even though we talk about AI, a large number of industry viewpoint is that they don't go into production. So that's a pessimistic point of view, that we'll still be grappling, we'll still be having this discussion. We'll still be talking about how do we make quantum a namesake in terms of what industry does. But I'm more inclined towards the optimistic point, the positive point, that industry would soon realize that there is importance in quantum. Customers would soon realize at least quantum security, quantum optimization, at least hybrid and NISQ solutions are viable, and they are there for us to for customers, right? We sit on the software layer, and a large part of the customer base does not really consider what's going on from a research hardware side. They want to solve a problem, and if that problem has a quantum dominion or a dominion in quantum, then they are looking towards it. At this point in time, I can safely say that they're just touching and feeling quantum. Quantum appears as a black magic, something that's something that only few people in this world know. But I'm hoping that would change in the next 2 years, and that's the optimistic side that I'm looking forward to.
Very good kind of viewpoint, and I think it's important to also reflect that how much education is required to bring the people up to speed, and how the focus on solving actual practical problems is so important, which is very easy to forget. So now I will actually move on to my next question. Now I've got everybody's answers in. So while we do want a lot of things to happen, but an important point was made by the ambassador, kind of earlier, in his talk, that not much has happened so far, right? So while a lot of promise and talk has been there, but not much progress, especially from a perspective of the partnership between India and Finland. So would be good to highlight what are the reasons why so few partnerships and collaborations have happened between India and Finland. And I would love to hear the perspectives both from the Indian and the Finnish side, and also because we are all among kind of people we know and people we trust. So it would be okay to be quite open and kind of about what the actual problems are, so we can start to look for it. So Juha, I would like you to start with this question.
Thank you very much. So I would like to maybe first to frame it so that we could maybe look 20 years back. So Finland and India have done a lot together, like back in Nokia days. So there were like a very vivid exchange of all kind of technology and talent and so on. And we should take that as our North Star. So we should be aiming to something like that. Quantum will be something very big, and we will go back to that state where we were 20 years ago. And indeed, the beginning has been very, very slow. So there has been some academic exchange, some research have been done together. There have been some let's say training, education, like we have done together with Nikhil, Tech Mahindra. But indeed, there has been missing like a kind of like a real momentum there. And we have been working with General Nath and like other people, and there have been delegations back and forth. But I think this question is there maybe in governmental level where we should solve it, and we have been missing maybe kind of some vehicles where like maybe now I'm talking about the funding, so where there would be like common funding for both countries, which have really kicked off, let's say, project like in larger scale. So.
No, I think it's a good point, and especially I think it's good to reflect that the partnerships between India and Finland have been going on for a long time. Actually, companies like Nokia also had a CEO who was Indian, so it's a long partnership. I came to Finland actually 24 years ago, so working for Nokia, so those relationships have been there for a long time. I would keep moving with the circle and come back to you, Ansi. So, Ruth, from your perspective, I think since you probably are one of the newer people into the whole Finnish Indian side, so would love to hear, as a person who still hasn't been, I would say, a kind of polluted or affected by any of the past.
Yeah, so one thing I will say is that we actually have various different partnerships in India as well as different organizations across the world. And what we have seen is across the world, there are many silos, as we call them, basically small quantum groups that are kind of forming where, for example, in India, like Nikhil mentioned, Pune, there is a really strong hub that is forming. In Bangalore, there's a small hub that is forming. And in going outside the India region, if you look at Europe, so many different countries are putting in a lot of investment in it, including Germany, France, and UK and such. And so there's a lot of cross collaboration that is occurring. And when we're looking from that aspect, something that you have mentioned is quite critical is if there is the fund, both Finnish government and Indian government separately are there, let's create programs in which this collaboration is promoted even more, where it's basically India and Finnish based, quantum based project or a grant, let's say something along those lines that is opening up, that is essentially inspiring the companies and individuals to collaborate with each other, because individually they're fantastic organizations that are there. From we're talking about various different Finnish quantum companies, hardware companies from IQM, as well as we have Unitary Space Zero Space, excuse me, as well as we have fantastic universities in Finland as well as in India. So it just makes sense for us to collaborate together. And in quantum, the only way to move forward is to work together, because we are so far into the future to think about just being quantum is just for me or for my country, or think that type of perspective is really very narrow, as well as it's not fast or future moving. And as we're talking the next couple of years, the growth of quantum industry is incredibly rapid. The only way to move forward is to move together.
Actually, that's very nice insight. So, Nikhil, over to you. You've been flying back and forth to Helsinki a few times. I've seen you here a few times in person. It's been a pleasure. And then also your role as an evangelist. Why do you see that the progress has not really happened as we would like it?
Look, so my point of view is three pillars have not combined and moved in unison. And I think for any country to move, and for two countries to actually evaluate and move together, there are three pillars, right? The academia, the government, and the corporates. I think the academia, or in terms of research organizations, we've had some connect, but that research connect is lightly bound, right? So how can we share amongst Indian researchers and Finnish researchers actually partake some of this technology? It's very important for this to happen. Number two, amongst research comes academia. We need to start the same program that Nokia started, and Vishal, that Nokia used to hire few kids from India and do an exchange kind of a program between universities, which was here from Finland to India and India to Finland. And I think that is important, right? A kind of research program or kind of program that actually does this kind of an exchange between students need to come to Finland to understand how beautiful the ecosystem of quantum is established. And Finnish students need to come to India to say, look, there are use cases that I can solve in India as well using quantum. Number two, that's the first pillar. The second pillar is use cases, right? And that is where corporates would come in. Corporates need to actually sit together and understand the pillars of movement. I would find enough use cases in Finland, but with those use cases. And we are bolstering some of those problems that can be. Reason for that is India sits on the edge or on the fringe of what we call as use cases, right? You can't run a self-driving car in India. Healthcare and healthcare data records are not very friendly. We don't have vaccines at this which we can build off the fly like we did for COVID. Of course, we did a great job with COVID, but now there are certain other epidemics on the fly. So if we can look at that use cases, then this collaboration becomes better, right? So we can use a Finnish hardware along with Indian software strength and solve some of these problems. And third, of course, is government, right? So governing policies. How do we look at tax rebates when corporates in India research on quantum or Finnish corporates come and evolve and do some use cases over here? I think if these three pillars are set, which have not been, unfortunately, we would look at a much larger viewpoint in terms of both Finland and India progressing. And the last point is not just quantum. And I want to break away from quantum is that you may have to trade in some of the lower technologies than quantum, which is AI and some of those things, and have communication between India and Finland. Once that starts happening, you'll see this relation much more faster and stronger. So I think those three pillars need to be sorted.
Fantastic. I think those were kind of very bright, very wide views, both on the problem statement and the potential solutions. Over to you, Anssi.
It's maybe a bit hard question for us. We are providing. We are part of the supply chain, and kind of we see the market that is open. And India has been quite small in the past years. Of course, now there is a lot going on, and we hope to see that as well. But I don't see any fundamental problems. So I think it's just timing. So this is still quite deep R&D, and different nations, different regions kind of do that with different pace, and kind of that's how I understand what we see. That kind of it's just not the time yet. I guess that's why we are now planning here how to get it going, how to kickstart the collaboration, and as everybody said, we need many aspects. We need the need as well. So there has to be the market too, and motivation to do it.
Okay. Thanks for that. And now that we've understood what the problems are, we have the good fortune that we do have people who, if you say what needs to change, can take the message back, to the powers that be and start driving the wheels. So, Nikhil, starting from you, I would like to ask that what needs to change? Kind of a top three things that need to change.
No, I think I'll go back to those top three things. Then number one, larger collaboration of research and make sure that we share data between hardware and software research that is happening between India and Finland. I think India will take a longer time to build a quantum computer of their own, even though we've progressed on that path. And Colonel Nath obviously spoke about our efforts in the research. If we can move a little faster in terms of, providing some information techniques that Finland has gone ahead and they've done so well. And you are the leaders in terms of what we've been, what we've been seeing in quantum, then India would progress faster. So that's one of the ways in which we progress it. The second is academia. I think education, Vishal. I think Indian corporates, I'm talking because I'm sitting from a corporate side, Indian corporates and CXOs, Indian kids need to have a larger way of understanding quantum. And I know it's a non-trivial field. I know we've been trying to do this, but I think it's largely explaining to quantum is and what the future really aims to be. Maybe a kind of science festival, Vishal. Science festival between Finland and India, which really talks about, look, these are the new technologies that we are talking about, between Finland and India as countries. Why don't you all participate and take the largest diaspora Indian population, which is the student community or the youth community, to get interested in? And thirdly, we have to bring a use case in front for both the governments to actually put in some money. It could be security. It could be a NISC use case in terms of what we want to solve for, let's say, India and Finland together. Language challenge. let's say, for example, but that use case has to be brought in front for somebody to get attracted. I agree to Juha's and Ansi's discussion that this is not time as yet, but you can push that time, right? And we are actually going to push that wheel by putting a use case in front, saying, look, this is one solution that happens. Now get more people involved in terms of solving more problems and challenges. I think those are the three solutions from my end.
I think those are very good points. And I recall one of the quantum scientists saying that one of the reasons they feel why quantum education is hard because it's introduced so late. Because for the first, kind of a 10, 12 years of our school education, we are only taught the classical side of physics. And once we accept that as the truth, then to kind of come to us and say, all that is just wrong. You should start to understand the kind of quantum. How about we started with quantum? And I think then, as small kids with their very free imagination, perhaps it's not that hard as we think as adults who've actually taken it up later. Over to you, Ansi. You need to sell dilution fridges, and without dilution fridges, we can't build quantum computers. How can the people here help you to sell?
I just want to comment on your idea. It's interesting that kind of. If you don't know anything, maybe it's easier to learn quantum mechanics because you don't need to change your mind. Yeah, I think three major things. I think we need market, we need demand, and then we for us it's like the first iteration is very simple. So like send quotes, we sell. So that's, but of course then you need to go a bit deeper as well. So of course then collaboration, understanding really what is needed. I think maybe kind of these centers and kind of showing what quantum computer can at the moment do, how you kind of openly integrate kind of examples and then scaling that way. I think that's maybe one approach to get it kind of to get it going. And then I think it's then more general as well. So I think like the field has to still develop a bit so that there is actually a benefit and need. And then once that happens, then everything starts to move fast. Once kind of quantum computing is something that generates value instead of kind of just understanding and interesting kind of knowledge. But I think that's the last step. And then when that happens, of course, then the pace changes all around.
I think that's a good point, and I think an easy problem to solve. People in India should order more dilution fridges, and the rest will follow.
Oh, that's the simple side, but then of course how to make that happen, then it's more challenging.
Back to you, Juha. I think it's safe to say that you have visited India more times, actually a few more times than I have in the last few years, and especially with your hat on as IQM, and you have been very strong in driving the whole agenda there. So what needs to change?
So there is, let's say, a lot of interest, lot of will, but let's say maybe we're missing some kind of sense of urgency that certain things need to be finalized. So I think this is something maybe we can today somehow push that forward. And so there is definitely, like, this has been government to government relationship, and we have to push certain things beyond the line. So that's one thing, of course, get things started, and then of course there needs to be this kind of market pull. There needs to be a real need, and to make that like more end users use cases, that we need to have more education and awareness and training and all those activities, so that once there is a huge need, then there will be also supply, so that they are.
All right, very, very, very insightful. So for the last question, Ruth, over to you. Now, what does, so if you were given a magic wand and asked that what would be your ideal India-Finland project outcome look like in the next 24 months, and this magic wands will make all the approvals happen and all the government budgets happen all now and completely instantly, and say all that happened now in 24 months, what would be your ideal outcome like? And you would say, fantastic, I think now I have done my life's worth on this planet for this life.
Was truly magic one. But yes, to be honest, I believe I would like to look at it from an optimistic point of view. And I truly do believe that even without the magic wand aspect, there is going to be a strong collaboration that will happen. But if everything, goes right, and if everything, all the government aspect is working correctly, I truly do believe that both India and Finland individually will be one of the leading quantum nations in the world. And right now, there are other nations who are just individually as well as partnering with other nations and pouring a lot of money into it. They are essentially, because of the availability of the resources, are leading this quantum race. That is the next future race that we are looking at. But working together, I do believe that we should be. I hope to see that there are various different projects going on where already there is, individually people are organizations are developing quantum computers, but there is a very good hybrid quantum classical approach, or a machine that is very closely integrated within the classical supercomputers, which are able to perform large use cases that are actually beneficial to any industry. And even from Indian market point of view, if we are able to actually solve their problem, or make them make it visible for them to see that, look, here's the advantage if you use this approach versus if you don't use this approach. It's as simple as that. And if you show it in black and white type of region, then they for sure will be able to adapt this solution, and the quantum adoption will be much more easy, or much more easier than what we have seen, especially from the Indian market.
I think that's a great idea, and a very sort of a concrete idea of a well-functioning quantum-centric HPC within the next 2 years, which I think we can all support. Nikhil, from your side, with your kind of magic wand, what would you like to happen?
So before the magic ideal state happens, I want to talk about the magic wand giving us projects, right, and projects being done. So I think I have 3 or 4 projects that I want to do for India, and that can really make 2 governments work. One is on language, 1645 dialects, 27 mother tongues. Nobody has the right to explain this language to us. But I think if quantum, and we can actually work on that project for India, then every farmer, everybody going to an ATM store in rural sector in India would be able to talk in their own mother tongue. Great example of something that we can do with large feature sets. Number 2, environment and environmental pollution in India. If we can actually solve hydrogen fuels and the challenge of how do we do supply chain better for hydrogen fuels, because hydrogen really misses out on supply chain. That's a great project for us to actually do it in India. I think number 3 is about epidemics and pandemics. Can we actually generate, and this is one of those projects that we are doing, can we generate molecules faster or in a better way to actually create new molecules for new drugs that new pandemics would produce? Great use case in India. And number 4, can we actually talk about infrastructure projects and say how can we predict some of those infrastructure projects doing and failing? India is working on big infrastructure in terms of what we are doing. So these are 4 projects. Magic wand, if you wanted to do, and I wanted to see this, was Kanlath, I'm sure, is in the audience. CDAC becomes the center for both HPC as well as quantum. We not only build our own quantum, but we also have a quantum computer for Finland running us, and a software layer defined by software programmers like us or software developers like us, which can actually become Asia's first in terms of what we want to do, on the system. And that's my and if I am part of that project, I think my life's worth it, Vishal. That's what I want to do.
No, I think that's a very good statement, and I have actually Colonel Nath right in front of me giving his thumbs up, and we will do everything to make that quantum-centric HPC happen, and look forward to Colonel Nath to drive that. So absolutely no pressure, Colonel Nath, in the 2 years. Yes, thank you. That's the spirit. Yeah, over to you, Ansi.
Yeah, infinite power. That's always nice, also a bit dangerous, but as I think if I go to quite concrete level, so I think these reference systems kind of showing the advantage, showing what can be done, kind of with the kind of practical examples, kind of moving the field forwards that way. And then this educational side, I think that's one I think it somehow also goes well hand in hand. So kind of increasing the awareness and kind of educational side as well. So kind of this, I think these reference systems, they kind of, I think they play in both kind of advantages.
Yeah. No, excellent. And since the quantum-centric HPC seems to be the theme, and Juha would also love to hear what you would like with your dream over the next few years. Yeah.
Of course, my dream would be that we would see IQM technology in India, and we would be maybe in 2 years we'll be co-developing a quantum hybrid quantum HPC system with maybe a level of 100 qubits or something, and there would be Finnish technology, there would be Indian parts or subsystems, and together we are making a nice product which then can be running Nikhil's use cases and all that together. So happy to work towards that kind of goal.
All right, excellent. Very nice to hear the positive sentiment. We did, it was very nice to see the problems were spoken of, but also we had very sort of concrete ideas to move forward, not just from the application space, but people doing algorithms, people building quantum computers, and of course, people providing the most important thing, you need to build quantum computers, the dilution fridges. So I have some comments and questions from the audience so that I can kind of go through. Before I go to the questions to the panelists, there was a question for Colonel Nath for his talk. And the question was that, is it possible for individuals to participate in the workshops at CDAC, preferably through virtual means? You have a mic there, Colonel. Yeah, I can repeat the question.
Which kind of workshops are they talking about?
Yeah, so they're talking about that, is it possible for individuals to participate in workshops at CDAC, which I'm assuming workshops kind of by CDAC? So if CDAC is organizing workshops, maybe in the area of QSIM or maybe in the area of HPCs, would it be possible to participate in that virtually?
Yes, definitely. May not be interactively, but definitely once people register, we stream those things live on YouTube and our Facebook channel, and they can actually listen to those things over there. But if they want to come up live, then they have to, I mean, you cannot let in so many people in that, WebEx link, and it has limitations. Yeah. So we have a select group of people who are actually participating in the workshop, but yes, this kind of, like the way he has asked this question, this kind of questions can be asked. But we generally make it a point to record everything, and the way you are streaming this, it is always streamed live. Yeah. And people register and they get the links and they can be part of the workshops. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah. So whoever kind of did ask the question, do visit the CDAC website, and you'll find some really good information there on that. And the second question is, I think it's also for Colonel Nath, that are there any plans or initiatives in place to facilitate the information exchange and skill development in quantum technologies between India and Finland? So is that some initiatives already in place at CDAC?
Between India and Finland, specifically no, but definitely we are trying to already start some focus training courses in this area, and definitely we'll be looking forward to these kind of partnerships. And since it is probably maybe asked from the Finnish side, we would definitely welcome Finnish participation. We're trying to curate the syllabus and put it at some level. And since I'm also looking after the academic council, we are having an overhaul now of the educational system And we are going in for courses which give long-term credits to the students who participate in such courses. So we're trying to get some courses made which can actually give them some credits which they can carry through with them lifelong.
All right, excellent.
Yeah. So, and short courses on quantum computing and these kind of technologies are being designed. And workshops have already happened, but yes, these kind of rigorous courses where evaluation and the kind of certification and those kind of things will happen. They are in the offing, and definitely we'll welcome Finnish participation in that. Yeah.
All right, excellent. I have some comments here from QETCI, which is the Quantum Ecosystems and Technology Council of India. And they say that QETCI has already moved the needle by supporting startup memberships and opening dialogues between local business and academia. So I'm sure after this, people from the embassy will be able to give you more information on QTCI. So we'd love to follow up on that. Any questions from the audience at this point?
Since you have a military background, what's the connection between the national security agenda of India in relation to quantum technology? Is there anything that you can comment under those lines? Thanks.
It always has to be there, because you're dealing with cryptography, and that was the basic point where everyone is looking at quantum, because of the possibility and the potential to quickly decrypt RSA algorithms and things like that, and then post-quantum crypto. So definitely it has a bearing on national security. But that's beyond that. I mean, everyone knows that. Beyond that, I will not be able to really comment on anything. And neither am I part of any national security establishment as of now. And nor will anyone working over there would like to say like how and what would be the roadmap and what are they looking at in particular. But definitely yes, it has to be. Yeah, that's why you have all this quantum key distribution and quantum random number generators being built and communications happening, secure communications happening. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically what Russia is doing in Ukraine today, 20 years from now, you could do the very same without shooting a bullet or a missile, paralyzing a society. 20 years from now, that's possible.
We have one more question. Oh, all right, from that side, from Jukka.
I actually have a comment, not a question, because I think I'm one of the persons to be blamed that we are all here, because I was reading the Indian budget 3 years ago and I saw the dollar signs that, oh my God, there's 1 billion in the budget. I actually disagree that the progress has been slow and nothing has happened. I remember starting to, talk with the Indian government. I have discussed with 3 different DST secretaries regarding this, because the budget is under DST. And all of them say that we have no idea what to do with the money. Help us. Now there's starting to be an idea. We have actually gone a long way. We have been fast, considering that where we are with the technology. Technology is not there. It's not commercialized yet, truly. We are in a very good position, but I think that we need to see 2 milestones, because, Finns don't think that India is the number 1 market, regardless of the industry we are in. And in India, for nickel, for any Indian company, Finland is not the number 1 place to be. It's clear. I think 2 things need to happen. First of all, we need to see IQM technology in India. IQM needs to do a deal. No pressure, Juha and Colonel Nath. So that convinces the Finnish community, especially, to be honest, the research community, that India is serious. It's not about talk, but there's actually serious, they are serious. I think that needs to happen. Then Nikki, no pressure, but we need to see the Tech Mahindra Makers Lab landing here in Espoo. We need to see the neon sign of Tech Mahindra Makers Lab, which is around quantum technology. So then the Indian side understands that, hey, since Tech Mahindra is there, we need to be there as well. Thanks.
I think that was a very kind of optimistic note. I have one question, which is online. Yeah. Sorry.
Check.
Just wanted to just add something to his comment on a lighter note. I said, just like, likely similarly polarized, people or objects repel each other. The moment me and Juha try to come together, there is some force, separating us. Probably I think we need to home on to what it is, and then things will happen. Yeah.
No, I think that's a very valuable sentiment expressed. So there's one question online. This is for Colonel Nath again, who seems to be very popular. And it's a hard question. What are the timelines and roadmap for having a commercial grade quantum computer? So what's your kind of a best estimate for a commercial grade quantum computer?
Commercial grade quantum computer, we are looking at, you mean to say totally indigenous, or it can have, subsystems from outside and somebody's talking about only a processor or something like that? Yeah.
I guess whichever way you want to answer the question. So probably the first one, which may have components from outside India too, yeah. But as long as it's commercial grade.
So if we are talking about an Indian processor, it's already there. And we need to only move ahead and increase the capacity. Control systems, I think we'll be able to really put our, is there, TRL5 it's there, so maybe getting into 7, 8 would take another 2 years max.
Yeah.
And error control and all those things will follow. So we can look at a reasonably sized quantum computer, may or may not be with a dilution fridge, 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I like the enthusiasm. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. You see, I think that this event is happening place at the right time. We had the National Quantum Mission, the budget outlay was announced in April. And perhaps this is the first time that almost all the important stakeholders are in the same room. From India, from Finland, you have Business Finland, you have CDAC. And I think this meeting of mind, I don't think it ever happened. Even the presentation of the two ecosystems, quantum ecosystems in India and Finland, I think it is happening for the first time. For the Finnish players to know about what exists in India, where we are in terms of our own development. There was a very sketchy knowledge, of course the top players know. And I think similarly on the Indian side, the players who are coming up, the startups, etc., for them to see Finland as a destination where they can forge partnership, where they can open their own companies in Espoo, I think many of them perhaps are getting to know for the first time. I think the other point is that, when you're talking about partnership, and we heard a lot of viewpoints and opinions, it has to be a mix of a commercial consideration and strategic partnership. I think if you go too strong on the commercial angle, then I'm not sure where we are going. And we need to bring in some element of strategic partnership into any quantum cooperation which we plan to forge ahead. We are talking about fostering, which means that I think there has to be IQM's presence in India. Blue Force should be able to sell your technology to India. But I think it has to go much more beyond that. I think we have to see how the Finnish quantum ecosystem can support the national quantum policy. It is still very young and very fresh. There are 4 verticals. There are 4 T-hubs as well. So I think some thinking has to be done. The Center of Excellence, which is projected and proposed, will be a good starting point. The discussion which CDAC is having with IQM and VTT can be another good point to start with. But I think I feel that we have made a good beginning here. I think that perhaps the last 1.5, 2 years, which Jukka also mentioned. And from here we can actually go on, address some of the wish list of people who have joined from India and also here in the room, and see in what way we can achieve together. We will of course take the points expressed and the concerns expressed today back to the drawing board, back to the ministries as well in India. And we expect the same thing is being done or will be done on the Finnish side as well. That how do we bring more trust into this cooperation, which will perhaps help us scale it further. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your remarks. Do you have another question?
Yes.
Yeah.
One last question, which is directed to Juha. The question is, other than prime factorization, what are the kinds of problems that you see a quantum computer can compute?
Well, there are a number of examples. Actually, we saw in all this presentation those ones. So let's say that there have been these quantum chemistry applications, which are maybe for us in one of the most potential applications for quantum advantage. So simulating molecule maybe faster or more precisely than, or more accurately than with the classical or AIs can do it at the moment. Then there are applications in quantum finance, like a financial sector, how to use quantum computer for example, portfolio optimization. So there are quite good demonstrations already, strategies how to approach that one. And if you can make there any advantage, over time when the stock market is not available, if you can do better betting for the morning, then you can measure it in cash immediately. So that's clear when you have benefit there or not. Then there are but maybe I'm more excited now is this AI. So there are potential reducing energy consumption of AI. So for example, now they are pouring hundreds of billions of funding for AI companies since OpenAI is now so successful worldwide, and 80% of those funds go to actually to computing. So it's hugely computing intensive. So let's say this kind of high performance computing is really needed in future, and it consumes so much energy. So let's say that if quantum computer can help there at least 1%, it would be already worth of billions, and that would be a lot. And that there are a lot of strategies suggested how you could actually use that for training your AI, and there the benefit would be so great. So I think those 3 are the main applications where we can foresee progress and benefits in near future.
Right. I think that's an important point, especially from the AI and machine learning, because ChatGPT uses 25 times more power than Google search. So I think if we don't do something about it very soon, we will definitely burn up the planet even faster. On that positive note, I think it's time for us to give a round of applause to the panelists. It's been a very entertaining session. So now for the final part, I would like to invite, you guys can go back to your seats and be comfortable. I would like to invite Miska Hakala, who's the Director of Growth at Enter Espoo, where he is responsible for helping companies, investors, and visitors to enter Espoo, and the local players in the growth and leading the innovation hub in the Nordic countries. Prior to his role at Enter Espoo, Miska served as the CEO of Helsinki Partners. So I think he can give a very good perspective of the entire capital region here. So I would request Miska, to give a talk here now. Thank you.
Thank you for my behalf, Your Excellency. It was really great way of kind of like closing this session already on kind of like, let's start doing business, because India means business, and that's exactly what we in Espoo do as well. And this type of let's say events are really great for actually developing trust between people and companies and also the countries. And I think we are at exactly the right timing on building the trust between different people and companies on developing the business in Quantum. And there's really good points about being made about the state where we are in. There's really good discussion about kind of like the opportunities in Indian side as a Finnish side. I will not go into details. I'm between you and the lunch, so I'll be really try to wrap up as soon as possible. There's actually one point I would like to make. So it's really about business and how do we actually develop that. And I have a background in corporate, and I used to be working as a BDM. Typically people actually think of that's business development manager. And I think that the whole Quantum has been on this business development stage for quite some time. But now it's actually time to actually move on, and now the BDM actually makes big deal maker. And I really expect that out of this event, we start seeing big deals between Finnish side and Indian side, and we have a common understanding that hey, let's really kind of like start developing and making it as a really big business, because this will be really interesting, and this will be really kind of like a good way of kickstarting that business between different companies, countries, and people as well. And with those words, I really would like us to kind of like network with each other, start developing business together, and really kind of like start thinking about how to make things happen. Here in Espoo, we have right on the next side of the road, we have the Quantum campus, which is being developed. It's called Quantinova. We have people who you can actually discuss about that, me or Ossi or Pekka, and we are here on kind of like helping the Indian companies to actually be part of that development. It's a great opportunity. Now is the time to actually start making those investments. And then we have really great Finnish companies working on Quantum present over here, and they should definitely do much more in India, and we should all be kind of like helping and facilitating that. So with those words, I really wish that we actually start seeing those big deals to be made over the lunch, and we expect to hear more about them in the future. Thank you for everybody for participating, especially our friends online in India. I wish to see all of you coming to Finland and Espoo. We are here to help you, and we are here to make sure that you will enter Espoo in the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the new take on the acronym BDM, Big Deal Maker. We do have one of the business development managers from IQM here, so kind of no pressure here. You know who you are. On that note, since big deals need to be made, firstly, and before we go out and refresh ourselves, you guys have been an excellent audience. For 3 hours, you've managed to sustain without any extra dose of food or caffeine or anything of that sort. So please give yourself a big hand for being so patient. Thank you very much.